And we're back. Remember to stay with us, folks, because we have a few bombshells in the next half hour. We'll tell you about Trump's breathtaking 30,000 sealed VIP indictments. Who could they be? In other news, what makes CEOs, members of Congress, and Hollywood heavyweights resign in unprecedented numbers? Are they all terminally ill, or are they facing Trump indictments? You decide. And finally, what's the real reason so many high-level Democrats are calling for riots? All that and more ahead. But first, our next guest, he's a CEO and a financial advisor to heads of state. His family came to Texas with Stephen F. Austin in 1821, making him a Gold Star Texan. Governor Abbott made him Admiral of the Texas Navy, and Portugal made him a knight. And he's still as humble as ever. Scott Holman, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John.
Well, sir, you have a storied resume. You've been all around the world. Your knowledge of the world of pure finance is certainly expert level. I have a couple questions for you today about, not only how Trump's doing economically, but also about, a few what ifs. What if Hillary Clinton had been president? What would the consequences be?
I think it could possibly have been disastrous.
How so?
She wanted to keep the corporate rate at 35%, if not higher.
Okay.
She proposed lots of really bad tax ideas. She wanted a soda hike tax. She wanted 25% national gun tax. She wanted to double the federal excise tax on guns. She wanted a 65% death tax, capital gains tax hike, which is the tax rate we use to entice foreign investors to come into this country.
Right.
And infuse our country with valuable capital that we need. Even Bill Clinton and President Obama wanted to lower the corporate tax rate. They realized what a mistake it was to raise it.
Well, yes, I mean, even in the
'90s,
90s.
Post-recession recovery in history under Obama with these high corporate tax rates and high capital gains tax rates.
We still had 10% unemployment in 2014, 2015?
Yes, I mean, we were actually at the top of when you look at the stock market, the S&P 500, for instance, it trades in a channel that goes up, it goes down, it advances, it retraces a little bit, advances and retraces, traces. We're in an upward trend in the channel, and we're at the top of the channel at major resistance, which means we're due for a pullback. Had Hillary been elected, I think we would have not only pulled back, we would have broke through the bottom portion of that channel, which would have been a market crash. That was the most positive economic event around when Trump won, reducing regulations and reducing taxes.
Well, didn't he set a new stock market record too?
Oh, he did. He did indeed. He set records on a monthly basis.
Just by showing up, someone who's run successful multi-billion-dollar companies, our creditors went, "Oh, thank God."
Well, it's true. Even Warren Buffett was going to vote for Hillary. But when Trump won, he was ecstatic about the high tax rates, and he took a big advantage of them. And his investors were very pleasantly pleased with his performance because of the tax reduction.
You know a lot about tax policy, actually. In fact, I would love to have you tell our listeners, about the benefits of tax equilibrium. Isn't there a rate at which we can tax people that's optimal to maximize revenue?
There is. In calculus, it'd be called a max-min problem. You want to maximize one variable while minimizing another. So you want to maximize economic output while minimizing the tax rate, and you also want to maximize revenues, government revenues.
So
while
give us
minimizing
some
the tax
real-world
rate as much as you
examples
can.
of this in play, like countries that have done the wrong thing or the right thing. Go ahead.
Well, of course, Venezuela did the wrong thing. Cuba did the wrong thing. Most of the socialist countries do the wrong thing. And in the end, it's the leaders of those socialist governments and regimes that wind up becoming multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires.
Right.
The Castro family is worth hundreds of millions in Western dollars, while the rest of their country suffers and are penniless. It's funny thing is that Chavez's daughter is invested mostly in American dollars and in America. She's the richest woman in Venezuela with a net worth of over $4 billion, and he was on record saying he hated rich people.
Well, that's stunning considering that the rest of Venezuela is eating cardboard or each other right now just to survive.
Oh, I know. Their inflation rate right now is 25,000%. They barter to try to stay alive. They can't use currency over there.
The consequences of of Hillary winning were such that we might have experienced a Venezuelan-style implosion or coup. It looks like we're experiencing that anyway, with Maxine Waters saying go out and harass, Republicans because they're Republicans. I mean, do you see any connection there, or is this a separate issue all its own?
I think anytime you have people that don't believe in democracy, and I think when I say that, I mean the greatest asset we have in a democracy is the open and the free exchange of ideas.
Right.
And if you don't feel free to have a political point of view, no matter what it is, whether it's liberal or conservative, you should not feel threatened by expressing your political point of view. The time for fighting is at the ballot box when you cast your vote. In the meantime, we should have peaceful intellectual debates. Because I learned something from liberals, just like liberals learn things from me.
Sure.
And so when I have a debate with them, we both shake hands and walk away friends. You should not debate someone who starts name calling and threatening you, and threatening your safety, or shooting people on a baseball field, or attacking someone
Right.
while they're cutting their grass. I mean,
Or
none of
for
that
wearing
should
a hat.
be going on in a democracy.
A preteen wearing a MAGA hat was attacked at a Whataburger in San Antonio. I mean, a preteen. There's the savagery knows no bounds,
That's true. And when you have the political elites and the people that are supposed to be our mentors that are running the government encouraging this sort of behavior, it's a really, really bad sign. That's why I was so frightened if Hillary were to have won. I mean, it could have gone that way even more.
Well, and you and I have both seen the quote from one of her transcripts from one of the speeches she gave, one of those paid speeches to South American bankers. I believe it was in Brazil. And Trump used it in the last debate. I think it's one of the reasons he won. But where she says openly, I want open borders, a common market. She basically says, we'll give you the American Southwest. Come on down. Cut your slice. And that's something I would love your reaction on. I mean, how does that make you feel?
All countries have borders, and all countries have border enforcement. In Mexico, if you were to cross their border illegally, it's a felony. You wind up in a Mexican prison.
So we can't do that in the reverse.
It's a double standard for them to ask for open borders, one direction and one direction only. A lot of people who are coming here for economic opportunities. They're requesting asylum, but they passed through 3 other countries they could have requested asylum from, and wind up at our doorstep asking to get in this country.
Isn't there a common link here, Scott? I mean, shouldn't we just be competing the way other countries are competing until they're willing to play fair like us?
Sure. Well, we're supposed to compete, and we're supposed to protect our borders, and we do allow people to immigrate in this country. And like all countries, we are looking to try to get and attract the best and the brightest. So
Right.
if you can come over here and you're not going to be on the welfare system, you're not going to be a burden to our country, you're going to be a help to our country, you have skills, we welcome you. And you go through the legal process, and you're welcome with open arms. But if you're someone who is in abject poverty and that wants to get on the welfare rolls and cause everyone else's taxes to go up to support you, we're not looking for those kind of people right now.
Well, and Scott, and I would be the first to agree with you that it's good that we, try to grab the best and the brightest. But just to play devil's advocate for a second, the Statue of Liberty says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." Shouldn't we have a little compassion? I mean, isn't it the compassionate thing to do to totally bankrupt our country to save everyone else?
I give a great deal of money to charity every year, and I encourage everyone else to do so too. I'm pretty much against forced charity, but like they say, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach a man to fish and feed him for life. And
Right.
so most of my charities are organized around trying to help people better themselves and help them, give them the tools they need to thrive on their own.
Well, and Scott, we're coming up here on a break. Talk about what Trump did to the tax code and why it's so great for America.
Well, like I said, some countries like the Cayman Islands have a 0 capital gains tax rate, and they have billions of dollars invested over there. When France raised their taxes up to 80%, they saw a huge flight of capital from their country, and they had to go into emergency meetings trying to reduce that tax to get the people to come back. The problem is their masses are so socialist right now that they're wanting that tax rate high. They're wanting to punish the rich, but they want the rich to stay there and support their economy.
And they don't work. I mean, you have what?
You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. If you raise their corporate rates, if you raise capital gains rates, they're stagnant. They can't grow. They can't hire more people.
Right.
So the socialists can point their fingers and blame the corporations for not hiring more people.
Well, we eventually run out of other people's money, as Margaret Thatcher said. Scott, give us a few final thoughts here before we head into the break.
socialism is an upside-down economic model. It rewards failure and punishes success.
Failure. There we go. That's the word.
No
failure,
more than
folks.
that to know that it's not going to work.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.